we're going to be building a simple form processing microservice. And it's going to look something like this here. So you'll have your marketing page on your site, and then we're going to do a little iframe embed. Now this isn't styled perfectly or anything like this. In fact, I hacked this together pretty quickly and then pushed it to production, but it in fact works. It does some basic form validation. We could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, have some numbers. It needs to be 10-digit number. So, things like that, they'll pass validation. And then once somebody fills out this form, it'll render out a thank you page and then send an email back. Let's dive right in. So we're going to be building this using Spring Boot, and we're just going to go com.example. We're going to call this inbound because this is an inbound lead processing side of things. Now, of course, we could do Maven or Gradle, and then we could write this in Kotlin or we could write this in Java because these are all JVM-based languages. Today, I'm going to be doing it in Java, and I'm going to use Maven because that's just what I'm comfortable with. I'm going to be using Java 17 because I know it works on there. And then let's go ahead and start adding in the dependencies. I happen to like Lombok. That is a thing that rather than writing like getters and setters and stuff like that on your data type of classes or record classes, Lombok makes that easy for when you want to just like reduce some of your boilerplate code. It has builder patterns, so you can dot builder things and then add in that type of stuff. Works really well. We're going to be using Spring Web. We're going to be using Spring Validation. This is the Hibernate Validator. What else do we need in here? We need mail. It's the Java mail sender. I think that's the Spring Boot mail. Hello, we need to templatize. We don't need to templatize it, but we want to templatize it. And so these are our dependencies for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and click generate. And this is going to create a file called inbound.zip or whatever you name your artifact here. And then I'm going to open this up. Now that we have completed the unzipping and opening of a project, I have also pasted in a handful of additional Java classes and templates in here to make this video as efficient as possible for you, my fellow Java programmer / entrepreneur who just wants to build something to make their lead processing work. Okay, so in a Spring Boot application, for those that are just not at all familiar with it, we have, it's annotated with this Spring Boot application. That does magic, and then the public static void main is the entry point for the application, and it loads up. From here on else, I have dependencies in here, and there's a couple of extra dependencies that I have included in here, beyond what I showed on the website. So on start.spring.io, that's all this upper section here. That was Spring Actuator, Mail, Thymeleaf, Validation, and Web, and then Project Lombok. And then we have Spring Boot Starter Test that was included. And then the additional dependencies that I am including in here is Bootstrap, that does like CSS and some JavaScript templating basic stuff, jQuery, popper.js, and then we're using WebJars locator. That way, if we change the version of Bootstrap, it's not going to break our dependencies. We don't need to fully qualify all of those with the version number. And then Thymeleaf Spring 6, and that's for the mail sending template processing side of things that I do. That's it for dependencies. And then let's dive into the from top to bottom. So I've created a couple of new packages or folders within the project, and I have a Spring Mail configuration class. And I'm going to expand out each of these so you can pause and follow along. These are my imports up at the top. This is a configuration stereotype, meaning that it's available for various other components in there. We have a couple of other things here. So we need to define a bean, which is the resource bundle message source, and then a template engine, and then we have some various template resolvers. So this is so we can support sending text email, HTML emails, and plain string emails. And then we set these all up in here, and that's our template engine. It's that way you can do fallbacks and whatever else. Web configuration, we need to do some additional configuration to get the WebJars locator behaving correctly. And this is what you're going to need to paste in order for the WebJars to load correctly. I wish that worked by default, but it's not quite there. Our controller. Okay, so this is the flow of how emails are sent. So again, starting at the top, here's all the imports, so you can copy and paste as you see fit. And then this is a controller. It's going to take all requests that go to /, that's the index page, if you will. And then the required args constructor, when I declare this private final email service, Lombok will basically create a constructor for me, so I don't have to define that. That's convenient if I add or remove various parameters in here. That's kind of automatically supported, done for me. Our get mapping, this is when you first load the form. So when you first load the form, we're going to define an object here, the appointment request object, and then we're just going to return the form. No validation happens at this stage. And then finally, we're going to do a post mapping. We're going to return a string, which seems kind of weird, but all that context it's handled by the framework automatically. And so if there are errors, then we're just going to return the form back to the person so they can fix them. Otherwise, we're going to create a Thymeleaf template context. We will set email, name, and phone to the various values that were set in the form. We could also just reduce this down and just set like this to be form or something like that and just pass the whole object in. I just want to be real explicit here. It's kind of handy. And then finally, we're going to send an email to us, which is basically going to say, hey, a new lead was submitted from the person's name. And then presumably that will land on like a salesperson's email address. And then we'll redirect the user to the success page. And then we'll have one additional page right here, success. So if you call get on /success, it will show that. Working our way down through the objects here, this is our appointment request form. It is at data, so that way that has all the getters and setters on there. And then these are the validation rules that I put in place here. So we don't want the name to be blank or null. Same thing with email. And then for a phone, we're saying that it's between 10 and 12 characters long. It's kind of very weak validation, but that's what it is for now. And then I think this, I'm not sure if I need this. The email request is a serializable object. It's at data and it has from, to, subject, and body. Email service right here. Again, this has all of our imports at the top. And then this is our from email address. Change that to how you want. And then we're going to auto wire in the Java mail sender. And then we have the template engine. And we have to add this qualifier in here. The email template engine qualifier makes it so that we return the right one. Otherwise, it's going to return the web template engine, which doesn't do our email, text, HTML, and all that type of jazz. With that done, our method here to send an email. All this is setting up a my message, getting that all wired together, looping over however many people we want to send emails to, plugging this in. I'm just doing that HTML email here, and then we are sending that out. So I've shrank this down. If you want to support multiple MIME types, then you would set your encoder, all that, and then change the various options on the message type here, whether it's text or HTML or otherwise. So that's how we send in email. All right. We are almost done with all of the code here. The next bit is the form. So this is what a Thymeleaf template looks like. And we have a few little interesting bits in Thymeleaf. So you'll notice this star name that is getting our appointment request object that's passed in from the controller. And these here are the various fields that are being referenced. And then if there's errors, we are using this has errors conditional, and we will, if there's like more than one error, if there's more than 0 errors in here, it'll include this is invalid CSS class. And then if there's errors, it'll let you know what these are. The TH errors goes like that, and it's like a list of things. So finally, we have a submit button that will perform an HTTP post, because that's what our method is right here on the home page endpoint here. And that's just the Thymeleaf way of decorating URLs in there. And then finally, that bootstrap, we're including that right up at the top here in the head. Just wanted to show that here. Again, it's a similar inclusion. Normally without WebJars locator, you'd be like /WebJars /bootstrap, then the version number, then /CSS. On other projects, I didn't have locator, and then anytime I do POM updates, I'd potentially break styling. So that's that. And then we just have the included CSS or JavaScript assets, I should say, right there. And then our redirect page that we're going to send someone to once they have it up and running looks like that. And then the additional thing that I did from the start.spring.io side of things was set up I deleted application.properties and I replaced it with application.yml. And this is all the information you would need to have a working email sending with Amazon AWS using SES, their simple email service. And of course, I've obfuscated these values out. You'd switch out, this is the access key ID, and then this one right here is the access secret key ID, or access key ID secret. You'd pass that in, and then that will allow you to send emails using AWS SES. If you're using a different email provider, change these properties as appropriate. And then finally, let's take a look at what this page would look like. Localhost 8080. And what this looks like now is you would see our page in here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to inspect this element right here. And what you'll see in here is we don't have anything like with something being invalid. Whereas if I, try to submit this, our validation's processing in that controller there. And you can see we got that is invalid class decorated in. So that's what that looks like there. If we fill this out and, I say, hey, my name is Jack. I say my name is Jack at example.com. And if we have a phone number that is valid right here, that's at least 10 digits long, we click that. Oh, we got an error. What's our error? It's probably the fact that I don't have template input exception. Let's expand this out. Oh, you know what? I didn't include it. You believe that? We need our templates for mail. It's unhappy about that. So I'm going to paste those in right there. And with our templates now in there, and again, it's another Thymeleaf type of deal here, but this is what that template looks like. So with that in place and that in place, then I will be able to restart the application here. Okay, with the application now restarted, we're going to go ahead and submit the form here. I've got this filled out, did some validation, error testing. This should all be correct. And with that, then we get the thanks, we'll give you a call, success message. So this is what our customers would see when they fill out the website. And then this is what that lead form looks like once Thymeleaf has parsed that out. So that's what that looks like. And I can see here, I got another one here just because I resubmitted it. You can see that popped in live, and there we go, 0 minutes ago, just happened, and there we go. That's our message. Sincerely from the website. Thank you, website. That was fantastic. And just again to show you what that looks like here, this is that whole template, and you'll notice here where we have the th text name. So rather than it saying submitter name, which is what you'd see in here, it now became Jack. So right up there, Jack submitted a lead form. And so you can see Thymeleaf does the interpolation of the variables there. Anyways, I hope you found this video really interesting, and I enjoyed making it. This was just a fun little micro project. If you're interested in seeing how I deploy code to production, I have a course that I am assembling over at courses.smbdevops.com. Thank you so much, and keep me posted. If you like this, if you have any questions, go ahead and put some comments down in the video. I'll respond as quickly as I can, especially if I made any mistakes along the way. If you're trying to copy and paste and get this thing working for yourself, just let me know what your experience is. See you later.